Dungeon Masters of Reddit. Which of your, sure, why nots, had the biggest unintended repercussions? Part 3. Not me, but a friend who was a player told me about this huge undead dragon the DM had spent a lot of hours mapping out. DM has a nearby river, because the party needed a last-minute drink of water before going in. Sure, why not? Turns out they rerouted the river into the dungeon entrance and had the cleric continuously bless the water flow. The holy water flow killed all the undead monsters, and the DM rage quit his own game that night. One day, our DM let us find flasks of oil or booze. I can't remember, but think oil, for some reason. I was a trouble-causing wizard with fire cantrips, but for some reason he didn't pick up on the fact that I was just looking for trouble with these. Later on in the dungeon, we find some parchment of some kind, and I had an idea.
I tear the parchments into rags and use them to plug the bottles of flammable stuff.
DM's eyes widen a little, but he goes, sure, why not? And we went on with the dungeon. They sat in my inventory for some time. Unused. Now, this DM was a real stickler for realism at times, it has to be said. Story was a distant second priority for him. He also did not like going off the rails, and the campaign was very linear. This is important for what happened next. We had an assignment where we headed off to confront a bandit gang. We were told they were all hiding in a rickety old mansion in the south of town. I could see the DM had meticulous maps and presumably endless traps in this giant mansion. Our group would be here for numerous sessions. IRL, I'd had a few beers with the boys. I looked in my inventory and saw something written as VermillionSoul cocktails, and suddenly had an idea. Hey, DM, this house is pretty old and dry and rickety, right? Yeah, sure, that sounds about right.
Stand back, everyone,
I said. The DM goes, what are you doing? I take one of the improvised VermillionSoul cocktails out of my bag. Okay. I use my fire cantrip to light the rag on fire and toss the bottle into the house. Boom. DM, that highly flammable liquid ought to light that old dry rickety wood on fire, right? Yeah, that would be realistic, but... He struggled for a second, but his realistic nature won out. The flames consume the mansion. Your party watches as the mansion burns to the ground along with numerous bandits. We took a smoke break after that while he threw together a new scenario. Apparently there was a stone trap door that escaped the flames and that turned into a smaller new dungeon, but we never forgot about the time we finished the whole week's dungeon in a few minutes. Side note, that same character in the game world accidentally burned down no less than half a continent. Had a player who constantly professed that his character, a rogue mage, was an atheist, and on multiple occasions made fun of the party's cleric for being so foolish as to put their faith in an imaginary god. While it was incredibly irritating at times, I allowed it, not wanting to get in the way of their role-playing. Inevitably, the time came when the rogue mage got downed and was bleeding out. He told the cleric to heal him angrily, and the cleric obliged reluctantly, resulting in the interaction I'd been looking forward to for 3 sessions. Cleric, I do cure minor wounds on rogue mage. I rolled max hit points. Rogue mage, awesome. I get up and use magic missile on me. No, you don't. Rogue mage.
Nani?
Me, cleric. You attempt to use cure minor wounds on rogue mage, but for some reason the miracle doesn't work. It appears that Pelor only has power over those who believe he exists. The immediate next session, rogue mage proclaims that his character is now an agnostic. I had a homebrewed campaign where one of my players was a hunter and wanted to pick this homebrewed hunter subclass because the hunter one sucked. I looked it over. It was cool, so I allowed it. The basis of this subclass was choosing one type of monster to hunt. I think the choices were vampires, werewolves, fiends, and that kind of stuff. He chose werewolf. The progression you got in the subclass depended on your choice, and was themed around you becoming more like the beast you chose. I can't remember the specifics, and it was all somebody else's homebrewed stuff of the internet anyways. So they come upon a town soon after, and I think perfect time to have him encounter a werewolf in the city because both him and I are big Bloodborne fans. Funnily enough, he ignores the obvious signs of trouble in the quest, missing citizens in town, the government not doing much, people scared to go out at night. In lieu of doing some shopping for new gear, his fighter friend took up the slack and actually pursued the disappearances, which culminated in a fight against a werewolf in an old guard weapons warehouse or something. After the fight, my werewolf hunter wanted to really embrace the whole becoming the beast and decided to consume some of the werewolf's blood. Going along with it, I explained to him how his body reacts to it, becoming somewhat ravenous and uncontrollable, but only for a short time. I think mechanically I gave him a bonus to Dex, but penalty to Intelligence. NPC invites the party to speak with the town mayor the next morning to receive a reward. Cool. Session over, right? Sadly, the rest went to sleep, but Werewolf Hunter, in his ravenous state, decides it doesn't make sense to go lay down and wants to go out and explore the city. Everyone is ready to end the session, but logically that makes sense, so sure, why not? Now my plan was to show the player that going off alone when the party is trying to end the session is a bad idea by instigating a mugging in the dark streets of this town. The mugging turns violent, which in turn turns fatal for the attackers because the group is at least level 5 by now. You can't kill people without consequence, however, and he soon finds guards chasing him throughout the town. He goes to leap over a high stone wall to get away, and luckily, with the bonus dex plus his natural dex for being a hunter and proficiency in the skill, he actually makes it. Now, I had pre-drawn the map of this entire town. It was pretty detailed, and the portion he was at that was drawn on the battle mat was, unbeknownst to the player, the wall to the mayor's mansion. He finds himself above the stables of this mansion, with quite a few guards patrolling the grounds. Bit of a pickle for the player, trying to lead him towards just calling it a night by going back to the inn and sleeping. But no, what ensued was a nat 20 stealth check to sneak across the grounds, a nat 20 acrobatics check to scale the building's vines and bricks up to a small balcony, a nat 20 lockpicking check to enter into the mayor's personal chambers. A ravenous elven hunter then proceeded to murder the mayor with a crossbow to the face. There went my quest hook NPC and all of the plans I had for that part of the story. It was funny. These kinds of things happened far too often in my campaign. It was our first campaign and my characters all wanted to make murder hobo evil characters. We now play a much more normal campaign. I was running a campaign that was a sequel to another campaign I ran for my friends and family several years earlier. It had been several years, so redundant, since we last played, and so I assembled the party and began preparations on the new campaign. Now, between edition changes and world/setting changes, there was a lot of research and writing that went into the campaign. I had probably over 100 pages worth of encounters, character interactions, personal player storylines, and the entire town itself. I was writing this particular campaign to be a city campaign, meaning that all the players had homes, lives, and other personal attachments to that town. I had written backstories, family anthologies, and made the city every bit as much of a living entity as possible. Now, I wanted this particular campaign to be as open and wide-ranging as possible. I wanted to set up downtime in between adventures so that the players could develop with me activities their characters would be working on in between sessions. This would give each player further opportunity to earn class-specific items or achievements, personal story developments, or whatever other enterprise they wanted their character to experience. I had used an online campaign tool and posted all of this information there so the players could read and respond and participate in between sessions. Well, one player, my brother, wanted to open up his own business in town for his off-time activity. Sure, why not? He wanted his business to act as a front for an underground thieves guild he wanted to run in town. Okay. I helped him set up the front for the business, parse out resources for supplies and staffing the business, then provided names and character quirks for dozens of street urchins and other informants for him to use as part of his network. Then came a question as to how much money his business would earn as the progression of time happened in the game. I threw out some dollar amount. That's not enough. It says on page 69 of the DMG, stores and merchant shops should make $420 per month. We work out some reasonable agreement to where his side venture isn't paying him more than what he would be getting from actually adventuring. Eventually, discussions devolved into the minutia of dollars per urchin, return on investments, and plans to excavate an underground illegal fighting pit below the city for further revenue. At this point, my campaign writing had slowed down so much to accommodate the integration of this storefront/side gig. My player was more focused on running his business than he was in the actual story, his own character, or the rest of the party. I eventually burnt out on the campaign from having to write and come up with pages and pages of information to make this side venture work. I wanted to write a D&D campaign, not the historical business ledger of frauds, magic, goods, and services. We had 2 in the party that could raise and control the dead. Ended up having half a dozen skeletons that would go first into every room. Each got their own hit rolls. If one of them was defeated by whatever it was fighting, as soon as the fight was over, they would just raise dead again and use them for the next fight. Plus, whatever we just fought added on to the end of the parade. We did basically nothing the whole time because the DM said sure, why not, when they wanted to have a skeleton army. Hey you guys, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching this video, you guys. You guys, please subscribe. It really helps the channel. And you guys, don't forget to crit that notification bell, you guys. You guys. So, do I sound like your favorite YouTuber yet? Anyways, my little infinite cosmic meat and consciousness flavored toaster strudels, thank you so much for watching. We are grateful to have you here with us again. If you're new here, please say hello in the comments. If you're not, welcome back. I love you. Write a haiku in the comments. We're trying to lock down another date for a D&D stream soon. It's really hard to coordinate 4 people in 4 different time zones, but trust me, we're working on it. Stay hype as fuck for announcements. I hope you liked the first installment of the Coffee Wizardry series. I've got the next one in the works, so get ready for heart palpitations because this shit is rocket fuel. Feel free to check out our friends over at Adventurers League Coffee Company. Link is in the description. That's it, babes. Thanks for sticking around. Please sub for Nat 20s. Much love. Dave out.